Have you ever wished your horse could just tell you what's going on in his head? In today's Clarity Horsemanship video theory lesson, we're talking about how to accurately interpret horse behavior. When you can understand your horse's communication to you, you're much more likely to be able to communicate effectively back to him. First, we're going to briefly discuss what things are necessary for accurate interpretation of behavior, and then we'll dive right into 3 case studies so you can see how it works and then practice yourself. The key to accurate interpretation is description, rather than assumption. Here's what I mean by that. Any kind of communication requires understanding. You have to understand accurately what the other party means, and they have to understand you accurately. The key to understanding is accurate interpretation. If you misinterpret what someone says, you will not have understood them. The key to accurate interpretation is description. Precise, careful description can eliminate misunderstanding by reducing the number of assumptions either party has to make. Assumptions harm communication. Therefore, description is the best way to arrive at an accurate interpretation of behavior. Let's see how this works in the real world. Common reasons given for horses not entering the trailer include a lack of respect, being a pain, and knowing that the handler is in a hurry. But do those things describe what is going on in this video clip? I would contend not. Those ideas attribute motives to the horse which he may or may not actually have. Hint, horses' brains are actually incapable of planning to be a pain. Isn't that a relief? The accurate interpretation found through description is much simpler than any of those assumptions. Let's describe what this horse is doing. He is not moving forward when cued, and is showing anxiety responses in place of the cued behavior. If we assign the motive of a lack of respect, we are no closer to solving the problem. What do we do about that? Work him harder? Hit him harder? Neither are good solutions. If we say he is not moving forward when cued, now we have a solution. We need to teach him to move forward when cued. Here's what happened when I did that, video taken the same day. The cue to go forward is very subtle by this point. I give halter pressure with my left hand and move my right, as if I were going to tap him forward, but I don't even need to tap. He steps forward, the cue is released, I ask once more, and we're in the trailer. Now you try. Take this scenario and think about how to describe the behavior. Your riding arena has a corner of random things, like many arenas do. Normally, your horse doesn't have too much of a problem with it, maybe looking at it once and then carrying on with the task at hand. There was a new item there today, an umbrella. However, he warmed up normally. Unaccountably, shortly into your work phase, he takes a massive spook in the corner. I guess he hates umbrellas, your friend comments, after making sure you're okay. Now, did saying that the horse hates umbrellas suggest a potential solution? Maybe, sort of. You could move the umbrella. Or you might think that you need to get a bunch of umbrellas, and make sure he's okay with umbrellas being anywhere and everywhere. But that actually won't solve the underlying problem. Remember from Principle 1 of the equitation science principles that this is a safety issue, so we can't just laugh it off and keep going. We should try to find a solution. Remember from Principle 2 that horses are horses and instinctually try to keep themselves safe. Remember from Principle 3 that your horse sees and thinks differently than you do, and so describing behavior is more accurate than ascribing thoughts or feelings to the horse. Let's try to describe what the horse actually did in this scenario, not what he might have thought. You might say that he shied or spooked, and that would be true, but can we be more specific? What is a shy? Shying or spooking usually involves a sudden, uncued turn of the front legs, typically followed by sudden, uncued acceleration. Alright, now we have our problem defined. The horse turned and sped up without being asked to. Now, does that suggest a better solution than leaving umbrellas everywhere around the barn? What do we need to train this horse to do? Right, we need to check our training of turn first. Horses that shy typically don't turn immediately from a light cue in a rhythm on your line without changing contact anywhere you ask. If unwanted acceleration is also involved, we should check stop and go too. One more to hone your skills. Although his behavior had been growing steadily worse, no one expected Hemi, a 7-year-old Clydesdale thoroughbred lesson horse, to begin running out at jumps. He had previously been comfortable jumping up to 3 feet with the intermediate students. Students had reported his unpredictable shies, but this new behavior began leaving them in the dirt. He gained a reputation of being dirty, when formerly everyone described him as a teddy bear. Does describing Hemi's behavior as dirty help us find a solution? No. Can you describe Hemi's behavior in more accurate terms? Yes, he was shying too, before the running out started. There are similarities between those two behaviors, aren't they? Both involve sudden turn, and usually acceleration. The clue to this horse is his consistent behavior. Shying and running out both demonstrate a loss of self-carriage of direction, when the shoulders turn suddenly without a cue, thus throwing riders. Due to the safety concerns for lesson students, I required that he be removed from the lesson program before commencing retraining, which also sped up retraining process due to increased consistency. Attributing the behavior to attitude or being dirty violates Principle 3 by assigning to the horse greater mental capabilities than he possesses. That line of thinking had actually led to Hemi being punished when he ran out, which only made the problem worse. On the first assessment ride, Hemi failed obedience level of direct and indirect turn. He was therefore retrained to turn his shoulders from either rein cue using operant conditioning, and well-timed cues. To consolidate the new behavior, he was ridden in areas where he was known to shy, and the retrained cue was applied during a mistake to bring his shoulders back to the rider's line. Upon approaching jumps again, Hemi lost rhythm immediately preceding an attempt to run around the jump, thus failing rhythm and straightness levels of the shaping scale. After training improved transitions within and between gaits, walking up to a low jump, a technique called underriding, was used to cause him to speed up just before a jump, producing a drawing effect on the approach and a clean effort over the jump. Because running out was quite rewarding, the habit meant Hemi could not be returned to the lesson program immediately. However, with practice and consolidation, he successfully returned to work. To fix a problem, describe, don't ascribe. Let me know in the comments something that your horse did recently that you were tempted to ascribe a motive to, and describe it for me there instead.